Hey everyone, NextMad490 here, and I just noticed that there's a pretty nice whole big Steam sale thing here, like with these two games, which are pretty good at these prices. These THQ games, and also lots of DLC like Darksiders 2 DLC, and then there's the original Darksiders. But what you are here for is the basement collection. So, as you can see, I got the achievement for completing Triachnid. Fine thing with the achievements is that the achievements are required to get the unlockables in this game. Those of you who don't know what the basement collection is, well, as you would guess, it is a collection of Flash games and other small games made by Edmund McMillan. As you can see, made all of them. So, as you can see, I've unlocked all the unlockables. So unlocking them requires you to get achievements about beating these games. So, for instance, like beating Coil, which is fairly short, very short, and if you can get your mind wrapped around, like either spinning around or doing something else in each of the different stages of the Coil creature's life cycle, then you would, then that's good. It's mentioned on the page that there are 2 games. I believe it's more like 2.5, because I think there's a new chapter of Super Meat Boy. Meat Boy, just regular old Meat Boy, the prototype, which doesn't play too well, so I don't really want to play it. It's pretty much as tough as Super Meat Boy in terms of its levels being filled with saw blades and these, the rocks that fall apart when you touch them. So yeah, and then there's Triachnid, which is also fairly short, slightly longer, and much more annoying in some parts. Like there's a sky level, and you fall off, you die, and you have to start the whole thing over. But still, I actually beat this one twice because for the first time the achievement didn't work, and I'm like, ugh, I have to do it again. I just don't want to. I don't feel like it. Though, like scratching out that sky level, it is okay. It is pretty good, even though it movement is very slow and steady. In Ether, movement is much more fun, swinging about. Pretty much the first game in the collection I played here. Like in the bonus content he mentioned, Ed mentioned that it's inspired by his childhood, just, wandering about, and that's what you do in Ether, you wander about, go to different planets, maybe see a moon or two, find some moons. And then there's Time Fcuk, which, the funny thing, those of you who've played Binding of Isaac would know that, that Steven, I think, one of these, basically, this character, this small character, or maybe both of them, I'm not sure. That's the boss here, and, they're a boss, and Triachnid is also a boss. They're fairly easy to beat, I guess. Then there's also Spewer, which also has a cameo, and I think Meat Boy. Those two are in the arcade rooms. I don't know what's with me today. There's also Gray Matter, which can't really be beaten, I guess. It's sort of an arcadey game, going against these things in the screen, and gets all mind-racking, I guess. So, the unlockables. I wrote them down. So, from Coil is AVGM, which is another very short game. It's actually a game and just quickly go through it, introduce it to you, and there's like all this locked content. I doubt that it gets unlocked unless you perhaps like get to the 10,000. So you keep flicking that light switch over and over and over again, and basically you get a whole lot of stuff. Okay, I thought that applause wouldn't end. So yeah, if you have the stamina to flick a light, like push the mouse button like 10,000 times, then I guess you would be able to. But he does explain the this game in the indie game, the movie deleted scene. There's also a couple other of those, and a couple more of those. I believe there is one for Ether, and there's also one for Triachnid. Now here's the box, which is some art from Little Edmund. As you would guess, it's from Ether because, basically floating around in space, I believe. Yeah. The box. Then there's the chest, which is, I guess it sort of makes sense, like 2004 to 2008, because Time Fcuk, as he mentions in the, I believe, the Q&A, he mentions that it's inspired by, like, him going back to high school, or this high school reunion, and everyone's sort of depressed, which you can kind of tell from the introduction cinematic, which I will not show. So yeah, there's just some illustrations he made of some hideous things. Then there's this one, Thicker Than Water, a sort of this comic he made. You unlock this by beating Spewer. Oh, and by the way, the other one you unlock by beating Time Fcuk, the first chapter, that is, of it. Not the second chapter, no. That would be a little too hard, In that situation, you would be getting, like, the full star, the shining star, other than the regular old star, which is, like, shows that you beat the game, instead of this, like, outline star, shows that you have not beaten the game at all. So Thicker Than Water is sort of a bloggy sort of, like sort of like a blog. This comic, pretty much grounded in reality. I'm pretty sure, except for maybe like Ed saying a couple of weird things, like about murder and such. Then also is the Lonely Hermit, which you get from beating, I think, from beating Triachnid, you get this. I'm pretty sure. It may be different for you, but yeah, this Lonely Hermit who eventually, well, I'll leave it to you to find out about that. Basically, these little creatures grow on his back, and then just tells this fairly short story about how he's just happy that they're alive. And then there's a soundtrack, which is not unlocked, and there's no like extra stuff, but yeah, so that's that whole thing. Those are all the unlockables in this collection. So the actual collection the actual collection is, let's see, just go to the store page here. Yes, it's only $4, and I'd say it's sort of pretty much worth it. Like if you're the kind of person who sort of like saw Ed on Indie Game the movie, and thinking, oh, what's with these other games that he's made? What about? I wonder if they have any emotional significance, which they pretty much do. If you're wondering about that and just playing the games in this nice collection, not having to go to Newgrounds or some other site to, search around for them, then this is a pretty good buy at, I guess, at $4. Or I guess you could maybe wait for a sale, sooner or later. Yeah. So that's the basement collection. All it's unlockables. Not exactly like the best unlockables, but I don't know. They're fairly nice because these games are fairly short. Spewer and Meat Boy are fairly long though. Like they have dozens of levels. Though Meat Boys are much more difficult than Spewer. Though keep in mind that the very last level of Spewer before the new levels, the Chapter 6 levels, like the last one, Chapter 5, which leads you to the end of the story, can be very difficult. And there are some other levels that require you to learn certain mechanics like floating by jumping and spewing at the same time. So some of the games can be rather tricky, for their achievements, but that's how it is. If you really want to, unlock those things, comics and such, then you would, be finishing those games. So yeah.